How's it going today, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day so far. So in this video today, we're going to be talking about the differences between making $100 a day versus $1,000 per day. And to preface this, I used to make about $100 per day at my old job. I quit that job a little bit over a year and a half ago, coming up on 2 years actually in a couple months here, and I've now scaled my online business to the point that I'm making $1,000 per day from my business. And so that's kind of what I want to do here, is compare the difference between what I was doing to make about $100 a day to what I'm doing now that's allowing me to earn 10 times that in a given day. So first of all, let's start off with the $100 per day, my old job. So a little over 2 years ago, I was working for the local power utility. I was a past due bill collector. So literally I would go to people's doors, knock on their door and collect the money from them that they owed on their bill, or I would be shutting off their power. Terrible job, absolutely hated it, extremely dangerous and stressful, but it actually paid decent money. I made $27.20 per hour, which is about a little under $57,000 per year, which comes out to $155 a day. So a little closer to 200 than 100, but I like the catchy title of 100 versus 1,000. So we'll call that $100 a day. We'll just round it way down. But anyways, that is what I was doing. I was working for the power utility, making $155 per day, doing this really shitty job. Now, while I was working there, I decided to start this YouTube channel on the side where I began educating people about investing, the stock market, financial education, all kinds of different topics. And I began making very small amounts of money with this channel. So October 2016 is when I started this. And then by January of 2017, that would be about 3 months later, I was making about $1 per day, $30 a month from my channel, which even then I thought that was pretty cool. By June of 2017, I was at the $33 a day mark, making about $1,000 per month from my channel, and I made this crazy decision at that point in time to quit this thing I was doing that was making me $155 a day and instead work for $33 a day, building up this YouTube channel. So it was a crazy decision. It wasn't a very popular decision among my friends and family, but nonetheless, that is what I did. And from June of 2017 to January of 2019, I have scaled this up from $33 a day to $1,000 per day. I'm not really going to break down the income streams in this video, but I'm going to point you guys towards a video I did on my 5 different income streams. It's going to be linked up down in the description below. If you're curious, you know, how much money I'm making and where it's coming from, more details in that video. But now what I want to talk about is the 5 biggest differences between working for about $100 a day versus working for $1,000 per day. Number 1, let's talk about how much time I was spending actually working. So in this job that I had as a past due bill collector, I worked 40 hours a week. I also had to work through my lunches, or basically I worked 8.5 hours a day to compensate for my lunch. So add another 2.5 hours per week to factor in my lunch. And I had about a 45-minute commute each way. So 7.5 hours a week of commuting means a total of 50 hours per week. I was spending 50 hours between my work time, my lunch, as well as my commute. And I would frequently just work through my lunch because I didn't want to sit in my car for half an hour staring at myself in the mirror. So I was like, I might as well just work just to pass the time. I worked Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And one of the biggest differences between what I do now is that I did not think about work the minute I left my job. So Monday through Friday, as soon as it was 3:30, I was in the parking lot, I was out the door, and I did not think about work until the next day when I got there at 7 o'clock in the morning. And on weekends, again, I had no thought, no care in the world about work. I could just focus on whatever I wanted to at the time. Now, fast forward to what I'm doing now, I'm working about 4 to 5 hours per day, 7 days a week. Now, do I have to work every single day? I don't have to work every day, but this is the schedule that I prefer. I like to do a little bit each day, and so if you average that out, it's about 28 to 35 hours per week. So I'm not working 10 times harder to be making, 10 times more money. I'm working actually less hours, but the big difference is I'm extremely productive during these hours. I'm not goofing off or sitting there on my phone, because at the end of the day, if I'm not producing, I'm not making any money. And some people thrive in this environment and other people totally, this environment is just not for them. They're not good at managing themselves and being self-motivated. But that is one of the differences here, is the fact that I am always thinking about my work because I'm frequently looking for inspiration for my videos and different topics I can cover on the channel. So I'm frequently reading books, watching other people's content online, thinking about videos. So I'm always thinking about what it is I'm going to be doing next. And that's one of the big differences between the job I had and this business, is you're always kind of thinking about things and new ideas. But the thing is, I love what I do, and so I really don't mind it at all. But that is one of the things that people have the luxury of with a job, is you typically do not think about that job when you're not at work. The second big difference is that with that job as a past due bill collector, I was making active income, also known as exchanging my time for money. So I made $27.20 per hour. I was required to work 40 hours per week. Sometimes I could work more and make a little bit of overtime, but the only way that I could make more money was to exchange more of my time. And that's just a bad model at the end of the day, when you have to work more hours to make more money. And it was not a business model that I was necessarily a fan of, hence why I began exploring other avenues. Now, the difference between this and what I'm doing now is that the majority of the income I'm making from my business is what is called passive income. It's income derived from my past efforts, my past YouTube videos or blogs I've created, or content that I have out there on Instagram or other avenues. It's all these things I've done in the past that are still paying me money today. So I'm not being paid based on my time, I'm being paid based on the skill, what I'm actually doing, as well as the systems that I have in place. And there's a big difference between being paid for your time versus being paid for your skills and what you're able to actually create. Okay, the third big difference between making $100 a day and making $1,000 a day is the fact of the location. So when I was working this old job as a past due bill collector, I would hit about 20 or 30 houses a day, or businesses, whatever it was, and I had to be at work to make money. I couldn't go to Thailand and then be a past due bill collector, because I had to presently be there shutting off people's meters or collecting money. And that was one of the things I hated the most about this job, is there was no way for me to take a step back and work location independent. And so when I was exploring different ways of making money outside of this job, that was one of my number one goals, is something that was location independent, the ability to work anywhere in the world that you want to. And that is when I stumbled upon online businesses, because what you're looking at here is a business. You know, you can do so many different things just from your laptop, and you could be doing this at a Starbucks, you could be doing this at your house, you could be doing it in bed. It is totally location independent, and that is something that you're not typically going to see with jobs. Okay, the fourth biggest difference between making $100 a day versus $1,000 per day is the fact that when I worked that job, I had 2 weeks of paid vacation per year. I was not allowed to take any more vacation than that. And now that I have this online business I've created, I can take as much vacation time as I want to, understanding that nobody's gonna be making money for me while I'm gone. Yes, I'll be making money from my past efforts because I've built a passive income business for myself. But if I just stopped working, eventually the money would dry up. And so I don't take any kind of crazy amounts of vacation, but what I do is I integrate vacation with my business, because literally, like I said, my business is a laptop. So if I decide I want to go on a vacation, what I will do is I will schedule a couple of YouTube videos to go up while I'm away. I'll write a couple of blogs while I'm on vacation, and I'll respond to emails and comments in the morning. And so I'm not necessarily taking a break from everything, but I'll sit down in the morning and I'll do my most important tasks for 1 to 2 hours. And it still feels like a vacation because I'm putting in a very small amount of effort, but I'm able to basically keep everything running behind the scenes, have those videos scheduled to go up, and it's like I was never even gone because it's location independent. I don't have to be at this desk or anywhere in order to be making money from this business. So if you understand this simple concept here of work-life integration, you can theoretically have unlimited vacation, paid vacation with your online business. That's a whole thing that you see a lot these days, is that nomadic lifestyle. There are literally people out there that just travel full time and make money with an online business. They are literally on a never-ending vacation. They just spend a couple hours a day working on their online business, and it's a very interesting lifestyle. And then number 5, the 5th biggest difference between making $100 a day and $1,000 per day is my ability to have time freedom versus that set schedule. One of the things I hated the most about this job that I had is that I had to work 7 to 3:30 Monday through Friday. If I was sick, I could use a vacation day, or if I had some sick time, but if not, I better be there or I was gonna get written up or something like that. No matter what, you had to be there Monday morning at 7 o'clock, and that sucks because you know what? Sometimes I don't want to be at work at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Monday or a Wednesday, and it's totally backwards to how people actually function. Now that I'm able to have the freedom of my time, there's sometimes on a Monday that I don't want to do a damn thing. And you know what? I don't do anything. I will go relax, I'll play video games, I'll hang out with my cats, I'll do something else entirely, but maybe on a Saturday morning, I want to work for 4 hours because I have ideas and I'm motivated to work. And it's such a better structure to be able to have control of your time. But again, it's an environment where people either thrive or it's not for them at all. Because if you're not able to be disciplined with this and actually have time that you're working every single week, you might find that all you want to do is be lazy and do nothing, and the next thing you know, you're not making any money. But if you are able to regulate your time and get things done and not procrastinate, it can be really awesome to have that time freedom, the ability to work when you're most productive, not when your employer is telling you to do that. So anyways, guys, that is pretty much it. Those are the 5 biggest differences between making $100 per day at my old job versus making $1,000 a day with this online business that I've created. Now, I just want to go ahead and say this, guys. I am not telling you any of this to sit here and brag and be like, oh, I can go make money on a beach in Thailand. That's not the point of this video. Why I'm sharing this with you guys is to show you how great of a business model it is to have an online business, just to kind of motivate you to thinking about, how can you make money outside of having a job? Because I know that when I had this job, I felt absolutely trapped in my own life. I was stuck in this regimented schedule, doing a job that I hated, going door to door, shutting off people's power, and it sucked. And so I just want to show people there are other ways out there of making money. You don't necessarily have to follow that traditional path of just going out there and getting a job. And the other thing I want to say here is that I am 23 years old at this point in time, averaging $1,000 per day in income, meaning my salary is over $300,000 per year if you call it a salary. I don't look at it as that, but there's no other way as a 23-year-old that I could be sitting here making $300,000 no matter what I'm doing. And I went online and I looked up some jobs that pay over $300,000 or have the potential to, and on that list we have anesthesiologist, a chief executive officer, a lawyer, an orthodontist, or a surgeon. All of those jobs are going to require 8+ years of school, $100,000 or more of debt, unless you have scholarships, and they're going to take years to get there. And as a result, it would be literally impossible to be making that amount of money until you're probably close to your 30s. So as a young person, the only way you're going to be making $1,000 per day is with something like this, some kind of online business or something you're creating. There's no possible way you're going to get a job as a 23-year-old where you're making $1,000 a day, especially one that incorporates all of these different elements. So if that's not getting you guys motivated to get started with some kind of side hustle or online business, I have no idea what will. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. And I also want to point you guys towards a blog article I put together over on my blog. It talks about 20 different ways to make $100 a day online. It's a great place to get started if you're motivated by this and you want to learn about some different ways of making money online. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.